The espresso. Yes, let's put it aside. Welcome. No. Enjoyment. I've learned. Bronze piece, you're buying a legacy. Even thousands of years after you're not there, it only increases in value as it goes gets older. Yeah. How many pieces do you sell on average? We have lucky month and lucky month. Like this month alone, we sold more than 30 pieces. Really? Yes. The cheapest thing at $1,000? The cheapest that we have of bronze is $40. What is the kirema? Just yes.
Have you sold some of those $1,000+ pieces?
Yes. Yes, I'll show you a piece that we sold as the. We sold the piece. I sold the piece as a $3,000 piece. But then from that, a British guy, a guy called Damien Ass. You know about Damien Ass? In the art world, Damien Ass is the richest artist alive, richest sculptor alive in the whole world. So he heard about us, visited us, and when he saw some of the pieces that we had, he actually came and cleared the whole gallery. That was a very good year for us.
Which year is that?
That was last year actually. And then on top of that, he also sponsored some of the bills for the hospital that is under construction. Honorable Minister, we always start our tour from here. What we are going through right now is what we term it as the foundry tour, where we show the materials that we use in the art making. And one that we are very proud of is the crystalline white marble. This we source from Morocco. We are lucky as a country to have it in Morocco. So we went to Morocco and picked this. It is a very beautiful stone. Then we have several others, the boulders that we pick from our rivers. So when the artists come here, they are inspired by...
So is this basalt? This one here?
No, that's a hard core. A hard core that we just pick from the river. Some of the stones are random because they are washed from the reservoirs to our rivers.
Can I take this one?
Yes, you can take that. At no price.
This is just stone from Morocco.
You would have problems with when you want to take it out because they consider it a mineral. So you would have to have a mineral license for you to take. But otherwise, within the country,
For abroad, yeah.
you are safe. What you have done is what is called surface mining.
Okay.
Yeah. So the artists create the artworks using these different materials. Okay. When they make the artworks now, let me show you our studio. Forgive our studio, it's a little bit messy, but the artists produce the artworks from here. Could be in stone, could be in clay, could be in wood. But when they make an artwork, like this in particular, this is a piece that I made. This is a stone that we just picked from Segway, added some value to it. From a picked piece, this now goes for $500. We do this in collaboration with the local artists. We invite a very famous artist in a particular discipline. Like recently we had a German guy called Uli came here. He gave us a few of the tools that you're seeing around for stone carving. We invited our local artists and we went searching for stones. Good enough, we had plenty of stones in the Renzoris. We picked the stones and we transform a stone like this to have value. So it is from a nothing to something. Okay? Now, when the artists make the piece like this, there are two people that are involved in this process. The first one being the artist, the second one being the craftsman. It's the work of the craftsman now to transform this into bronze. And the process that we use here is what we call the traditional lost wax casting method. It's a method that is more than 6,000 years old. It is a very old method. Let me show you our wax department. Because it all starts.
How much time did you take to just make this?
This is not yet finished already, but it has taken me about 2 months already. 2 months of daily work.
So it will take you like 3
Daily.
months to finish.
It is a very, very hard stone. It is stone only.
Chekikaseza.
Some of them sell them
Swafita.
even in bronze, you can make an edition of the piece. So you can have an open edition where you buy a piece and it's always in production. Or you could, some artists prefer to have just 3 editions. Others, like myself, I only make unique pieces. That means if you have it, you're the only one in the whole world with it. Even myself, I can't recreate.
Oh,
Because I use a very random approach in the creation process. Okay? Welcome to our wax department. In the wax department here, this is where all the process of bronze casting starts. And the first process is when we receive a piece like this. This is in the series of the Buganda clan totem made by John Buck. John Buck is a British artist, a famous British artist who, when he came to Uganda, he found the clan system and he was fascinated by the clan system, that every clan has a totem representing them. And he went on research and he made over 30 different clan totems. And he designed them in a way that it's easy to carry, it's flattish, so you can just put them among your bags and easily go with it. And they're also light. Now the process that we go through is, the first thing is to make a mold. How we make the mold, here I'm going to explain the process of making a rubber mold. And how we do the rubber mold is we divide the piece into equal size. I'm going to use this to explain because it's a simple approach of making a mold. A mold can be as complicated as 5 pieces, but this is only 2 pieces. That is one side and the other side. So what happens is we place it, we make a clay slab like chapati and place it on the side and then cover half of it into the clay. When half is covered now, we create a barrier around it and we get what we call plaster of Paris. I wonder why they call it plaster of Paris, yet we source it from Egypt. Now this plaster of Paris is gypsum. Gypsum is a fast-setting kind of cement. You know, like when you break your hand, the white thing that they use, that is plaster of Paris. So we pour plaster of Paris over the clay that we will have made, because the idea is we want to create a basic shape. Now we create the jacket, and then when the jacket is made, we remove the clay. We put the jacket back on top of the piece. And then now we mix our rubber, which comes in 2 forms, the base and the catalyst. We mix and then we pour it into the holes that we have created. Now it is going to flow and take the shape that was once covered by the clay. Except now it is going to pick details of the piece. So when this is done now, we have a negative of the original. Okay? Now, this negative we paint in wax. One of our very important materials that we use here are these. This is bee wax, which we collect from the bee farmers from within here. Then sometimes when we have a big project, we have to go all the way to Arua, to Mira, to collect bee wax. Now this bee wax, we mix with paraffin wax or candle wax. And then, you know, in England, all this comes pre-mixed. All you need to do is just heat it and heat it. But here we have to take our own ingredients. Now we melt these two ingredients and we didn't do the job for us until we added the magic ingredient, which is petroleum jelly. Not necessarily label, but petroleum jelly. So if you add petroleum jelly, it should give you a flexible piece of wax. This can enable us now to go through our process of bronze casting, which is now painting. We boil our wax. We boil the wax. We put the rubber mold back into the jacket using a brush. We paint, making sure we don't miss the details, because now we are interested in details. We paint in the details and repeat the same process on the other side. Now we have two different sizes of the same. We put them back together. Remember, they are still not joining. For it to be able to join, we boil the wax a little hotter than before and we pour in. Then now we wiggle it around, pour the excess out. Now we get our wax copy. So with this approach, we can actually make up to 1,000 or more copies of the same. So now all we have to do is clean. Using tools, we clean them up properly. Then we do a mini critique, making sure it is as close as possible to the original. Now you see that the tail is a little bit far off in this one, and this is touching. So we adjust. Then now, the next thing that we do is we go through a process called runnering. This, you see, these big tubes here are called runners or feeders. This is solid wax made into tubes. And these small ones are called risers, or you could simply call them chimneys or breathers. Now we connect this to the piece. We connect it, and we also connect the runners to the same, the feeder, the risers to the same piece. Now the best way to understand how the runner is the network system works is to think of the human heart. The human heart, we have arteries and veins. The two, the idea is they don't mix. The arteries letting in oxygenated blood, the veins taking out the deoxygenated blood, or vice versa, not a medical person here. So the idea here is, if the two, even in human beings, if the two mixes, death is going to occur. Or someone is going to have a heart attack. But in bronze, if the two mixes, we are creating a bomb. Why are we creating a bomb? How do we create a bomb here? Because bronze goes in hot at 1,300 degrees Celsius. And as you're pouring the bronze in, it should be able to breathe at the same time. You know, when you're taking water from a mineral water bottle, the sound you hear like tutu, tutu, tutu. That is water trying to escape and air trying to get in at the same time. You don't want that to happen in bronze. That is why we have the chimney, so that when you're pouring in your bronze, it is sucking in like, okay? When that is done, now our runnering system is properly done. We do what we call investment. Investment is where, come and have a look at this. Is where we use these ingredients. These are local ingredients. This one here, we call it silica sand. By the way, you want to be fancy, but it's just ordinary sand. And then this one here is smooth terracotta, or you can just call it crushed bricks. And then we have the rough terracotta. So we crush the bricks and then we sheave Then we get these mixtures. We put them in a ratio of 1:1, with plaster of Paris being the binding factor. Now we mix this, we cover it up properly, we cover it into what we call an investment mold. When that is done, the piece is ready for firing. Because whereas we have gone through a lot to create the wax, we also want to lose it. So that we have a negative space that we can pour the bronze with. Remember, this process is called the traditional lost wax casting method. Let's see what our kiln is like. And by the way, these are some of the pieces that I have undergoing production. You see I have two shoe bills, because when we receive the client here, she likes the shoe bill and is like, I want the same. Now I am struggling to try to create the same of the other one, which is proving to be difficult. Because the process that I use here is I get wax, cut them into, make them into slabs and cut them into random shapes and sizes. Now I bend them and put them together, weld them with a hot knife to form this, to form this, to form this. So these are the originals that you're seeing here. Now these are ready for runnering. It jumps the process of mold making. Now these are just ready for runnering and ready for firing. Yeah. Now let's see what our kiln is like. Now, this is our kiln. The kiln is basically a giant oven. And the kiln has 4 chambers where we put the fire. We have inside there what we call the combustion chamber. Then we have the main oven, which is circular, so that when we put the fire, it burns in circular motion while baking our bronzes. Let's see inside. We have some of the molds that are already in. Now, these are our investment molds. We have artworks that are already now inside here. Now, you see them, they have been put on a brick but upside down. The idea is that when we start the fire gently, we want it to steam because it has a lot of moisture content. We want the moisture to slowly evaporate. When it has evaporated, we now step up the fire because we don't want to crack the molds. So we step up the fire, and the idea is we want to maintain between 350 degrees Celsius to 750 degrees Celsius of heat. Now we play between that 300 and the 700 degrees Celsius. When we start, we raise it up until on the second day. It takes us about 3 days, 3 nights to fire here. On the second night, that is when they will start to flame. We call it flaming because inside is so hot, it's red hot inside, and when the wax tries to breathe out, it reaches the hot surface and it catches a flame. That flame is a beautiful thing to see. It's so beautiful, it has reddish, greenish, purplish, orangish colors, burning in slow motion because air is limited inside there. So
this chimney has a temperature gauge?
We have what we use, it's called a cone, a ceramic cone. A ceramic cone is a material that when it reaches a specific temperature, it melts. But over time, with experience, this is not something we can tell by simply looking at it. Yeah.
So you have to cover this entrance.
Yeah, so we block this entrance with the bricks. These are fireproof bricks, so we maintain the temperature inside and outside is just cool. Yeah. So when this is now fired properly, they are now like biscuits. They can easily break after going 3 days, 3 nights in fire. So what we do is we reinforce it in what we call mummification, just like the Egyptians did. What we do is we carry it carefully outside and then rapidly sack cloth dipped in plaster of Paris, and then tie it with stainless steel wires. Then now we carefully carry it to our furnace. So far, do we have any questions?
How comes these bricks close to the fire do not get burned?
Because
They still remain.
because the temperature we have here is not hot enough to burn clay. It can only fire clay, it cannot burn it. Yeah. But I'll show you our furnace where it has melted this.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're going down?
Yeah, we're going down. If you have any questions, feel free to just fire. It's done by individuals. We have one of the directors here. We are supported by a UK-based charity who helped us in getting the bronzes inside. Yeah.
What's the difference between burning and firing?
The difference between burning and firing is controlled. Burning is just, you can just light a matchstick and burn this. But firing is in a controlled environment, under controlled procedures.
Maybe you can also say within firing you want the same temperature, to fit with it. For example, if you have something that is very large, you want this temperature to spread all over that thing that you have put inside. Whereas here, when you're burning, you're just burning. Yeah, so that one.
In other words, the firing is purposeful.
It's perfect, yeah.
And then burning is just anybody's work.
And so there was a question on kiln and the furnace.
Okay?
Yeah.
Remind me of the question.
What is the difference between a kiln and a furnace?
The difference between a kiln is that the kiln takes low temperature and the furnace takes as high as 7,000 degrees Celsius. So this is our furnace. The furnace can actually melt stainless steel. Yeah? Yeah, we can do that.
So here you can iron smell.
Yes, this is where it all happens.
7,000.
And we enter and we
You can also melt.
Here you have
Yeah,
created.
it's very easy. Actually, bronze is very easy to melt compared to bronze.
So here you're running gas, eh?
No, here we are running oil. Burnt oil. Burnt oil is what is the fuel that we use in firing. Because our idea is we need to recycle as much as possible. So what happens here? Let me just explain a little bit of the furnace. The furnace has three different components. We have here, which is the main oven, where we put in our bronze. Somebody had asked before that can we burn bricks? If you see inside here, we have a brick that has melted due to the fire. So this is hot. It can go up to 8,000 degrees Celsius before it starts to self-destruct, before it starts melting itself. Okay? But all we need for bronze is only 1,300 degrees Celsius. So we have, right,
How do you control heats? It's getting out.
we have, this is heat proof, but it needs to breathe. So this is like a chimney to allow it to breathe.
Right here, there's a lot of.
Yeah, not so much because it is controlled. Yeah. So just right behind here, we have that that is our fan. The fan is connected to the furnace here, but in between here, we have what we call the mixer. The mixer, now if you look up there on that tower, we have those oil drums. These are oil that we collect from petrol stations after you service your car. The burnt oil is what we collect and we put up there through different levels of gravel. We filter them and it comes down through gravity. Reaching here, it finds high pressure coming from our electric fan. Now, when you open here, it will mix and send in a jet spray. That jet spray, reaching inside here, will find a hot water and it will catch a flame. That flame is maintained and controlled until it cooks the bronze. It takes about 3 hours for this furnace of ours to melt bronze. Now, after it has melted, we are dressed properly. We are having fire jackets, helmets, everything. We have a team of about 7 people who act here like support staff. Then we have only 2 people who participate in the fire, because it's a dangerous process and needs somebody to be more than 101% sober, not drinking beer. So you come here when
No business for me.
you come here when you're sober, when you're okay, when you're fit. Should you not feel fit, that's why we have the 7 other in reserve. Now, using the tongs.
But I just wanted to ask you, what is this method? The pots and the internal
What material?
that are not affected by the heat at all.
Now, this pot here is made of granite. You know, like lava. That is what it's made of. There are some that are made of ceramics, but it takes only temperature up to a certain level. Yeah.
So this cannot be destroyed or affected by any level of heat.
No, but after using it for several years, it will then give way. You will get a hole, either because of maintenance issues, because if you leave bronze in it and it cools down from there, it is going to crack it. Yeah, yeah,
You talked about self-destruction of this furnace.
yeah.
I'm trying to wonder how you regulate heat to ensure that it doesn't self-destruct.
Okay. Now, remember, bronze is an alloy of copper, lead, tin, and 7 other metals. Some of the metals have low boiling points. If you boil bronze more than 1,300 degrees Celsius, you are going to burn out some of the precious metals in it. So you need to be exact at around 1,300 degrees Celsius. And how do we know that the bronze is now ready? Now, I don't know what is involved there, but the same approach that we use when baking cake